literally hours of acting in that movie.
Oh my goodness. And
There's a lot of actors in that movie.
Yeah, and a lot of acting is crammed into every moment of acting.
Interesting.
Joe Pesci. Oh my god.
Walter Matthau?
Oh my goodness.
Jack Lemmon?
Oh my god.
Who does
Knight?
He plays the defrocked priest.
Ferry?
Yeah, Joe Ferry.
Joe Ferry?
No, Joe Ferry was a professor at Purchase that taught jazz.
Oh.
Is Ruby
Not
in it?
Joe
Who
Ferry.
plays Ruby?
One of the
Just
Murray brothers, I think.
Oh,
Brian
really?
Doyle Murray.
Really?
I believe it was somebody like that.
Yeah.
All right.
I didn't
Like
recognize
everybody is played by someone.
Yeah. Jodie Foster, I didn't realize was the wife. I was like, who is this? And it was Jodie Foster. And I was like, oh.
Everybody's in that movie.
Yeah, everyone's in that movie.
Newman?
Fucking good. Yeah, Wayne Knight.
Yeah.
I described it as a Wayne Knight holiday classic.
Isn't there a
such a
new
good movie.
documentary, JFK, or book
Is
or
it?
something? Yeah.
Oh, there's always something.
They
out
definitely released
It's
new
it's-
admissions and information.
Right, it's a big.
the
it's a big
documents were
anniversary,
released
right?
within recently, right?
Yeah.
Like the
and I think one of the Secret Service guys has been doing a press tour being like, I definitely heard 2 shots. I
yeah.
didn't want to say it till
Well,
now, but there we
yeah.
go.
The whole magic bullet thing, a Secret Service person has come forward saying, like, I picked a bullet up off the ground and put it on the gurney.
Yeah, that's the guy.
there. Yeah,
Yeah.
the gurney.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
that? Like,
Yeah.
why would a random bullet just be on the gurney?
Dude, picked
Unless
it
someone
up.
put it there.
You know?
I gotta watch the movie. It's like one of those things I never had an angle into to be interested in.
You-
You know, it was just before my time, but I'm sure I would be
Yeah.
interested in
It's-
it
It's a thrilling
now.
film.
I'm sure it is. And it sounds great. The
But
cast
it's-
sounds
It's based on the theories of one of my favorite conspiracy
Takes off
theorists.
running.
Who's that?
Takes off on.
Jim Mars. He wrote Crossfire, but he also wrote Alien Agenda
Yeah.
and Rule by Secrecy.
I read that book when back in the day.
Yeah.
The best JFK conspiracy thing is King Kill 33 by Michael A. Hoffman III. It's pretty short. You can read it in one sitting, but it connects every name involved, like possibly in like the Kennedy assassination, to Masonic world domination and black sorcery. But it's fucking cool because it'll be like, this road they're traveling on, look at where this road is. It's on the 33rd parallel, and the name of it refers to this biblical story, which has, oh, look at those 2 names. Those are 2 of the lawyers. Like, the dude just
that's so
fractal
awesome.
blows up.
I love this is why I love JFK, because it attracts shit like that. It's so good.
The real freak shit.
Have we ever talked about JFK
No,
before?
I don't think so.
Not really.
My theory is that they didn't. I mean, obviously the CIA killed him, but my theory is that they didn't mean to, that they just meant to scare the shit out of him, and then they accidentally did actually kill him, and then they were like, fuck, what do we do? And that's why it's like such a goddamn mess.
Yeah.
That makes a lot
It
of
makes
sense.
a lot of sense.
Because
'Cause
who's
they-
in charge of the CIA? George W. Bush, who fucked up
HW,
Bay of Pigs.
yeah,
Oh, yeah,
HW.
HW, yeah.
Yeah.
And who fucked up Bay of Pigs?
Yeah.
HW Bush.
Yeah.
And whose son had to go through the same of like, oh, what the fuck? Oh my god, now I have to be president. Like, he's.
I mean, that's my like, just out of like my heart, what I feel happened.
It does feel like a big fuck up.
Like, because I mean, I have like read about it a lot and thought about it a lot, and obviously, like, the government killed him. Like, obviously, the CIA
Sure.
assassinated him. There's like some holes of like how and the mechanisms and whatever, but obviously, it was a deep state thing. But I do
Wait, how obviously it was what?
a deep state thing.
Oh,
but
I thought you said Thebes State.
But I think like if I just have, it's like, I mean, maybe they are just bad at things, and that's possible. But it's like
They
they
are.
did it so bad, like it was such a bungle.
Right. Like they talk about that in the movie. A guy's like, I do secret ops. Like none of this, I wasn't allowed. They like stationed me and overseas, and
Or-
I would never have run it like this. This is crazy. There was no one there. There was no one on foot. Like this is.
You know something else though is something that someone I was listening to was saying about the whole about Israel right now, about how insanely bad the propaganda that they're putting out
Oh
is.
yeah.
One
Their,
of the
their
points
Twitter
that-
is especially
Yeah, but
bad.
one of the points that someone I was listening to made about it, which is a real like late period Russia, like everything, nothing means anything kind of like thing, is the idea that it actually, the whole point is that you see how bad it is and that you know you can't do anything about it. Like, it's actually like a power move to be like, it doesn't matter how bad our messaging is, everyone's on board anyway and there's nothing you can
That's
do.
what 1984 says.
And maybe it could be a thing like that with is like setting an example. You obfuscated it enough where no one can like exactly
Oh my God. I have
pin it
so
on
many
you.
thoughts about
And
this.
then
I'm so excited.
the point is you're like, yeah, you make it weird enough where it's like you can pretend sort of like something else happened, but then at the same time it's naked enough where you can just be like, don't fuck around
we killed the
because
fucking
we will
president.
fucking kill the
And no
president.
one will know
You know?
how it happened.
And that maybe is more plausible
kind
actually
of-
now that I'm thinking about it.
When I was really stoned and watching JFK yesterday, I was thinking about how I was like, okay, part of JFK's whole thing at the time was he wasn't pro-communist by any means. He wanted communism to not be around, but he didn't want to like fucking murder communists. He didn't want to just indiscriminately like throw people into a mass grave. He was like, that's not cool. Let's like talk to people and have a communication with them. That would be cool. And then he like, everyone was like, fuck no, we're going to war. We fucking hate these people. So he like fires Alan Dulles, which is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And then, anyway, so he's just like, no, this is terrible. This is fucked. So I'm thinking, and then a lot of presidents, so I'm thinking about like Obama. He ran talking about closing Guantanamo Bay, and then I think it like came up from time to time, but I don't know if he actually tried to do that.
No.
I'm thinking when you finally become president, they sit you down in a room and they're like, this is what we did to JFK. Like, this is why. And these are the things. And like, listen, we'll do it to you. And no one will ever know. No one will ever understand what
They don't even have to say that though. It's like
Isn't that a
understood.
Bill Hicks joke?
But they change.
Yeah,
I
I
guess,
think
no,
so.
I understand why they change. Because you tell people. But I was really high and watching JFK. But another thing that I saw was that the Secret Service had like a really like wild party the night before and they were all like hungover. And a theory is that like,
The night before the assassination?
Yeah,
Okay.
one of the agents in the car behind them was like scared and he like accidentally shot.
Oh
his
yeah,
weapon.
that he was got by friendly fire. I've heard that too.
So exciting.
Should we relate
Yeah.
JFK to
We should try.
Gene Wolfe books for a second?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The
You got
most
an end?
part.
It's,
Absolutely.
he's Camelot, the best American president, it's the murder of a Sun King for all of our sins, opening up an operation that is only closed when they murder the Moon Queen on the Bridge of Souls, Princess Diana. So it was a latter half of the 20th century magic spell that
Nice.
the Illuminati
Not
were
nice,
doing
not
to
nice.
us.
I don't like it, but that's like.
That's just my own
It
personal
explains a
recreation.
lot. It explains.
And the point of the spell is to demoralize people, right?
It's to make the gods more real than individuals.
Okay.
So yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. That
That's cool.
the Hoffman King Kill 33 thing is very explicit about the Sun King ritual.
Yeah, yeah.
This is a Masonic textbook operation.
Well, I mean, it even kind of it looks straight up like Golden Bough Fraser kind of magic to me.
Other side.
But yeah, so it's like Severian. JFK is Severian.
Exactly like Severian.
It's exactly like Severian.
Just as horny.
It's a woman.
Just
Yeah.
as stupid.
Just as stupid, just as horny.
And Dallas is the universe above ours. Have you ever been to Dallas? It's horrible.
Yeah, it sucks.
They have a lot of
They have a lot of
giant
everything.
thrift stores though.
A lot of
And they
concrete.
have that
They're
really,
giant everything.
and they have that, yeah, they have that giant
They got a lot of room to
Korean
spread
spa
out.
too.
And it's where they filmed RoboCop 1.
Oh, I believe
Is-
that.
Really?
Yeah, it wasn't
Yeah,
in
it is,
Detroit.
that's
It was
right.
in Dallas.
That's fucking weird.
I've been watching
RoboCop
that
is so
RoboCop
fucking
Yeah.
good.
There's a documentary now. It's
There's a documentary about RoboCop.
it's 5 hours.
Wow.
It's called RoboDoc, and it is.
Dude,
It is
I'm
incredible.
writing it on my list.
Was it like a YouTube thing
No,
or
it's
no?
a real thing. Yeah, it's like in
YouTube's
episodes. I've been watching it on Plex, so I'm not sure where it actually
Well,
is.
you gotta
Oh.
steal
Does
everything.
it cover like the RoboCop series or just
No,
the
just the
first
first
film?
one.
Wow.
And it's so fast. They don't like really dwell very long on anything. They're just like blowing
For
through
5
stuff.
hours.
Yeah, for 5. I couldn't believe it. Everybody who worked on it is so pumped to talk about it. All of these dudes are like, "Oh, RoboCop."
I watched the director's commentary last time I rented it, and
wow.
that was really good too. It's just they were that part where they're like torching the street, and it was like just a street they were gonna demolish. So they were like, yeah, okay, fine. Like, they like. Well, I think first they blew up the gas station and everyone was pissed.
Yeah.
And then they made nice with the town. They like just were really nice to them. They were like, oh, okay, you guys are cool. And they're like, can we demolish a street that you're gonna throw away anyway? And they're like, hell yeah, come on.
Wasn't there's some Jackie Chan movie they did that with Kowloon Walled City? Like they were
Oh, is that when
filming.
it's, like-
They were filming like it was after Kowloon Walled City had been like condemned, but before it got demolished, and they got to film some of it and like blow up parts of it. What
Is that
movie
Police
was that?
Story?
It might
Rumble
be.
in the
It's probably a police story movie. Yeah.
Because I remember that, and I was just like, what? Did they just like build an entire little town?
No, I think-
Is it,
I
like,
think
like,
that
it's
they
made
just-
out of basically cardboard. So that's really
I mean,
interesting. That's cool.
Sort of.
Do you know no computers used for the effects on RoboCop? They didn't have them.
That's why it's good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
insane. All of the stuff he sees is all hand drawn shit on like transparency.
Oh, wow.
RoboCop 1, the one with like the walker, like the mech robot that fights him. Is that RoboCop 1?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
Okay,
a-
yeah.
that's
So that thing is
claymation.
like, okay, that's claymation. Oh, okay,
Or it's
sweet.
like a model. Yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
like stop motion.
Yeah. Oh, sweet.
It's just not clay, but
Right.
it's, yeah, stop
Okay.
motion.
It's Wallace and
But it's
Gromit.
animated.
Yeah.
That's right, exactly.
Oh, I heard that Wallace and Gromit is in trouble because they used up all the clay.
Yeah. Yeah, their supplier went out of business or something, so they can't get the same clay they've always used.
I
That's,
didn't know they were still making.
I didn't either.
Yeah.
I hear they make a new one like every 10 years or
Oh,
something.
okay.
I mean,
It
Armin
takes forever.
Armin does other stuff too, you know.
Oh, okay.
Did they like sell all the old models? They have to go around and be like, "Can I have that back? We need to."
I mean, the clay probably dries out. You probably can't really
Yeah.
use like a legacy model for that stuff.
You
You
gotta
gotta-
keep it oiled up.
Kind of, yeah.
Powder if you try to move it.
Maybe. Eventually.
Can you?
I
connect
bet they
Wallace and
could
Gromit
find a
to-
way to like do moisture, like humidity storage. How hard could that
Maybe.
be?
I don't know.
I
don't
think
know how
that
long
if
can
you
preserve.
start storing it properly, it's okay. But I think once it's gone hard, it's really
Yeah,
hard
yeah,
to
you can't
get it soft.
rehydrate it, but you could maybe
Right.
stop it from.
And you're
Now, if
also
it was cheese,
But it's also like in the process of animating, it's getting touched a lot. There's a lot of oils that are
Yeah.
getting transferred into. I just don't know how long that stuff would hold up.
Ooh, claymation Oreb in the TV show of Lumsen.
Oh, so cool.
I guess Taluses could be claymation too.
well, everything can be clay.
Yeah.
Have you seen Nightmare Before Christmas? All claymation.
All claymation, in fact.
So, I was wondering
That's
how
a
they
good
got Danny Elfman to
The
look so
animation's good.
skinny.
They covered him in clay.
It's very slimming.
Can we connect Wallace and Gromit to Wolf somehow? Is,
I don't know
we just
enough
have-
about Wallace and Gromit to do that.
Does
If you
anyone?
look hard enough, you could. But I don't think I think I've seen one Wallace and Gromit a long time ago.
It may be like it's kind of like Talos and Baldanders, because like you think the dog should be the pet and the guy would be in charge, but it's the other way around.
Yeah.
And that's like Inspector Gadget.
Yeah, I think I'm actually describing Inspector Gadget more than I'm describing Wallace and Gromit. This is a short ass chapter.
It was a short chapter. This volume of the book has shorter chapters.
Yeah, the
in
next
general.
chapter is short too.
Yeah, like the
Because
first.
it's coming up to that climax.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, it's. I mean, they're also a little more. I don't know. Like they're in previous volumes, there are a lot of chapters that like jump between multiple POVs and stuff, and
Yeah.
then this one's kind of just like sticks with one, and then it goes to the next chapter.
Do we think that's part of that? Each of these 4 books kind of switch genre a bit.
Right. What's the genre of this one?
This is the hardest one, I think.
Exodus. Just the
Yeah, this is just
my
like
people
the end,
go.
right? So it's
this genre is the end.
whipping everything together, kind of.
Political thriller.
The ending of serial books usually the ending is always seems really fast.
Yeah.
After like many
Mhm.
books of build up.
Yeah, it's true of TV too.
So we had like a detective story, a spy story. It was calling the third book like a war story.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I kind of thought of it as horror, and I kind of think as the fourth maybe as being war.
Yeah,
So
this
far?
is. Well, we go to the Talus factory in this one, right? I feel like that's one of the most memorable
Yeah, it's
things
good.
from this book.
I want to posit Tom Clancy thriller because it's about the president.
Right.
Mm.
My wife, goddammit.
Yeah.
Right?
He's always talking
Where's
about,
my wife?
Where's my wife? He talks. That happens in this chapter.
Yeah, in this one, Silk is played by Harrison Ford.
Young Harrison. I guess.
Okay, so the Triviganti are like super brutal, and that's got to be like this is the part where Wolf is just kind of playing around with gender and stuff, and like
Right.
it's almost a little bit of a trope too. Is like two armies meeting one another and kind of noticing their differences and talking about it, like in storytelling. So I don't know what this does for this story, but it's interesting.
There's some funny bits too.
There's
yeah, where the
funny
Triviganti
bits.
are like, yeah, men are weak and stupid. Why are
Right.
you? What are?
Right.
He broke his ankle.
Right, but you know, like what's Wolf doing behind the scenes? I think is like interesting. You know, like yeah, it's something to dig into. Like Silk a little bit second guesses Saba's like description of like like what weapons to use on horseback, right? Like that's interesting. Like he has this thought, like he's like needlers would be better after their discussion of like you know like military you know stuff or whatever. But then it, you know, as a reader you're like, well, which would be better, a needler or a lance? And by lance, are they talking about a literal lance here? It seems like
I
Yeah.
think
like a
sort of.
It's not a Severian kind
yeah
of...
it doesn't have a laser
Right.
on
Yeah,
top.
clearly doesn't make any noise.
Yeah, but it's just like there's two approaches, but it seems like there's a little bit of like old man kind of like, I don't know, an old man's kind of understanding or like expression of the difference between men and women. You know, like, there's two sides, there's two approaches. You know,
He gets in a really good dig about or a dig that he's very proud of himself in, where later on when she's like, your people aren't cheering enough, and he's like,
Right.
perhaps they're
Right,
worried
right.
it would spook the horses.
right, exactly, yeah.
And then he kind of in his head, he's like, and this is going to be good when I get her.
It seems like I was thinking that there's like a weird reversal here where usually Silk is missing like the point of what's going on and like focused on something sort of tangential or possibly even irrelevant. Whereas like in this scene, he's the one sort of focused on the interesting thing. For like, there's this giant meeting of two armies. That's like triumphant sort of for both sides, but Silk is the only person who's like completely keyed into the like dominated dynamic that's happening.
He's very aware of the social dynamics,
Yeah.
and is almost consumed by it. Like he can't stop thinking about power.
Because he realized that he's realized that Paz is dead. So that gods are a joke. So he doesn't have to always be thinking about who should I be praying to right now. It's freed up his brain to pay attention to something else.
That's really interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and he does talk about Paz being dead almost right off the bat.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
oh, but Paz is dead.
And he almost mentions that he's gonna like leave behind the auger.
Yeah, he's like, I'm kind of looking forward to not being an augur anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
This new job is.
But in a weird way, it's just like, it's because the gods are done with him, right?
Yeah.
yeah, like he can. I mean, he needed to have Pos be real to have the structure that got him to the place to be Caldi, but that's all he needed to do.
Mhm.
So it's like he can give up on the gods because they're dead, but the gods can give up on him because they don't need him anymore.
Interesting.
Yeah, what happens when you are the agent by which God is working a miracle, and then after the miracle has been wrought?
Well, this is a big Old Testament thing. In the Old Testament, the Jewish patriarchs almost always lose the mandate of heaven before
Right.
they get old, and
Yeah.
then they become kind of horrible old men.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you live to be like 1,000.
Yeah, it's pretty. It's one of my, I guess, my favorite things about that stretch of the Old Testament, like right before David and right after David, where you get all the prophets, and now that's how all the stuff with the ban in it and everything too, like all the real grisly shit that people like to point out and be like, "Well, you said you like peace.
Yeah.
You killed everybody here." Like that stretch is very consistent on young dudes come in, they do a great thing for their people, and then the favor of heaven leaves them by middle age, but usually before.
Because the CIA sits him down and is like, "We'll kill you if you keep doing this shit."
Mossad.
Yeah. Mossad.
Same
yeah.
difference.
Proto Mossad.
But there's a Old Testament vibe to the Trivagon for sure. They've got little touches of, I guess, any desert people, but I feel like in this chapter you get a sense of them being kind of what was it? There was something in here that I felt was particularly Judaism about them, but I'm gonna
Particularly Judaism.
yeah, particularly raging desert, wartime Old Testament.
The camels.
The camels is definitely cool.
Camel?
They love
Yeah.
the camels.
You can fill them up with water, and then if you run out of water, you just cut open their stomach and drink the water that's in there.
Yeah, that's kind of a cool paragraph. Although I'm actually confused by the paragraph too, where he talks about lions are the least warlike of animals. Camels are the most.
Because the army
They
doesn't
carry
bring a
things.
lion.
Well, that seems obvious. Yeah, yeah,
Can't have a caravan
that-
of lions.
right. But the animals of war are just mules and camels.
It also makes sense if your goddess is a lion. You don't want lions that die on the way to the war.
Yeah,
You
it's-
bring a bunch of lions with
Right,
you.
yeah.
Some might not make it, and then
Also, you can't really train lions.
Right. I mean,
Kind of a,
Well,
Ooh,
lions are
it's a
solitary.
Good,
Lions are
that'd be sweet.
solitary animals.
Yeah, they're not really built to go around and cooperate with leadership to.
That's something I tell people every time they're like, "I'm gonna get a second cat," and then they're like, "Why are my cats always fighting?"
Oh, I think
Like,
two
you
is the
idiot.
correct number of cats.
Two cats is the good number of cats. Although
Yeah,
Jordan
but
has
you have
four.
to do all sorts of letting them smell each. If your goal is no cat fights and you just release the second cat,
Oh well,
they're
yeah.
not gonna get along.
Well,
Well, yeah, you gotta-
cats are 3 cats when you get the triangle is when things start getting fucked up. But
Yeah.
besides that, if you have 2 or 1 cat, the only reason cats are bad is because people are bad. Which is what you
That's
just
what I'm
said.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you
it's
gotta
not because
ease
of the
them in.
nature of the cat. I think all of my life experience leads me to believe that cats prefer to have a buddy. They prefer to have another cat. They prefer that to being a single solitary cat.
Well, I've just lived with a lot of people who say I'm going to get a second cat because my cat wants me to get a second cat. And I have to say, you want to get a second cat. Just admit that. Don't put this off on the cat.
No, I think they do prefer it.
Yeah, they're just better. They're better in worse ways to handle that.
yeah.
Of course, but with 3 cats, 2 of them.
The
can
triangle.
If 2 of them can gang up on another one, it's a bad scene.
The triangle is
Yeah.
a bad
Yeah.
shape for cats.
For real.
It was fun when I was married and we had 3 cats. It was 1 old one and 2 young ones, and then it was actually the youngest, smallest boy became the tyrant who bullied the other 2.
Our youngest,
I know
smallest
human
cat
families
was the
like that.
tyrant when we had 3 cats briefly because we took on our big old boy. It was the baby cat, just was such a fucking bitch to him, and it just like haunted him basically around the house. And yeah, it was tough. It was tough. I mean, we mostly worked it out, but there was a lot of cat piss. that was
Not cool.
Yeah, it was not cool.
That's the way to send a message. When
Four
Yeah.
Cats is different. Four Cats is more just like chaos. There's no set like this. Cat
There's
does
no
this,
dynamic,
this. It's
consistent
just,
dynamic.
Like,
You have 4 now?
Yeah,
I'm
they're
so jealous.
they're all chill except
Wow.
one of them just has a lot of energy, and as long as we play with him, everyone pretty much just like has their little spot that they hang out in. And then sometimes there's like, especially when they're hungry. When they're hungry, that's when things get really like we gotta be careful.
Because they
It's-
know they outnumber you.
Yeah, it's like sometimes I wake up and all 4 cats are like looking at me. Like, we're hungry.
Oh.
But it's not as crazy as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my god, I'll just have to deal with it. But
Wow.
They can work it out. It's a lot of boy
I
cats,
think
right?
3 cats. But I do think 3 is a bad number.
It's a bad number.
Yeah,
like I
three's
think
tough.
I think that's specific. I don't recommend anyone.
Yeah,
take
are they all boys except Hairbo?
Yeah.
Yeah, that also helps. Because
Hairbo
more
is-
than one
yeah.
female cat is also a problem.
Yeah, that seems like it would be bad because she's just sort of like, oh, boys, there's
Girls are
boys
competitive.
here.
Yeah, female cats are
They're
much more
really,
territorial.
Yeah, territorial.
Unless I've had 2 female cats that were like a bonded pair.
Oh yeah, well that's
So
that's
That's
different.
But yeah, generally I would not recommend 2 female cats.
Yeah.
That one worked out.
Especially introducing a new cat, like that's a bad.
Yeah.
You always bring a boy cat if you're like introducing a cat to a new situation.
boy cat, chill, neutered boy cat.
Dumb
That's the way.
ass boy cat.
Yeah.
Dumb
Oh,
ass boy cat.
I got to take 2
They're
of my
simple.
3 rabbits to the vet on Tuesday to get their teeth filed. And
Wow.
Anne is convinced, and it's just the women who are going to the vet. Anne is
The
convinced
women.
that when I bring the women back, they're going to kill and eat the baby boy.
What?
Well, because
Oh,
rabbit
they
bonds
do
are
that.
strong,
Yeah.
and she just thinks
They're gonna forget.
she's worried, and in a couple hours they're gonna not recognize each other.
Well,
Are they
And
that
the thing
stupid?
One way to
is,
find
that
out.
sounds crazy to me, but maybe she's right.
She might be right. You know?
one way to find out.
You're right.
Well, we got to find out because their teeth need to be filed down.
I think the
You
most
can't do that.
likely.
You have
They have to
get
be
it.
put to sleep in order for it to be done.
Wow.
It's-
Yeah.
it's-
I think the
Rabbits
most
are
likely would be
delicate.
if the baby boy were taken away and then he smelled different when he came back, then they would be pissed. But the 2 women going away,
The women.
The
I
women.
think sounds like
I'm picturing Bugs Bunny's girlfriend.
yeah.
Lola. 2 of them in the backseat of the car. Like, where are we going? Where are we going?
They come back and their teeth are sharper than ever.
And they got perfume on.
No, but yeah, my general take is boy cats, girl dogs. That's
Mm.
the best approach. I don't know about rabbit gender.
Do you have a girl dog?
Girl dog,
Okay,
yeah.
Yeah.
Girl dog's really easy,
Yeah.
and they don't put their dicks on you.
Oh yeah, that's annoying.
Dog dick is awful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And if you can just do without the dog dick, then it's a much better dog experience.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. The female dogs are also less territorial and could just generally, I don't know,
More
at
chill.
least in my experience, more chill.
Yeah, a little
That
bit.
totally makes sense.
Yeah.
And it makes sense about the girl cats too, being more like.
Yeah, girl cats are catty. Boy cats are just big dummies.
I love them.
Yeah.
I mean, I love
perfect.
girl cats too,
Yeah, they're all wonderful.
but I do prefer living
That's
with
kind
male
of stressed
cats.
me out a little bit. I couldn't
Cats?
imagine, or just pets in
Oh,
general.
pets.
Yeah, cats I think are the least stressful of the pet. I think
Because they're semi-independent.
They're
Yeah,
pretty,
yeah.
yeah. They can.
They at least act like they don't need.
I
you.
mean,
Yeah,
fucking
so-
Freddy's out all day.
They're
He doesn't
yeah.
even he's out from breakfast until dinner. Like he leaves. He leaves as soon as breakfast is over, and he comes back and eats dinner, and then he stays in after that.
That's so nice.
He's got a job.
Yeah.
He's got to check up on things.
Christian calls him the mayor, like he's out getting votes.
Yeah.
Canvassing.
Yeah.
He's pounding the pavement. Yeah.
He's going to convince the various local reps that they need to
He
vote
really
to
likes barking at people's
reduce the.
But the thing is,
limit
It's
on,
time to go.
or decrease the
Yeah,
limit
and
on
he-
how
he
many
doesn't
stories you
wanna
can
go
build
in
in
the
front of the
cave.
water down at the
Right.
harbor.
Flies away.
Yeah.
He just flies
He's
away.
like,
What the fuck are you
we're
gonna do?
gonna need
with
these
it?
high
I guess I'm
rises
not
down
gonna
there
go.
if we want to attract more people to this city.
The
Mixed
house
use
will be
not gonna
covered
work
in
unless
shit.
there's feet on the pavement.
Can't do that.
You know, it'd be nice to have a real good Walgreens down there on the first floor, but if we got people upstairs, we
that's
know
the
it can
thing.
stay open.
He comes when I whistle, though. He's
Yeah.
hypnotized by the whistling.
That's great. Like fly
Freddy.
to you or
If I'm
on your-
whistling one of his favorite songs, he has to be on my show. And there's like
That's
a part where like if he hasn't come to me by this part, once it's there, he's on my show.
That's great.
Wow.
That's very
What
impressive.
song is it?
He's got a couple of songs that he loves. His first favorite song is "Good Morning" from "Singing in the Rain."
Nice.
He also really likes all the music from Mario Brothers games.
Whoa!
Yeah,
Including the underwater one.
yeah.
The waltz.
Mario 2 music is his favorite stuff.
Oh,
The
yes.
kind of ragtime
Yes.
stuff. He likes showtime
Yes.
shit. The hit parade, the
Da, da, da,
parties,
da.
all of that.
That goes in my head a weird
Oh, it's very good.
Yeah.
Da-da-da-da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
But you're whistling. How do you whistle ragtime?
No.
There you go.
Oh, man, I feel like I'm pulling turnips up again.
I know, God. I loved that game. It was so fucking weird.
Have you ever picked turnips in real life?
No.
It's so much fun because it feels like you're in that game.
Do they just pop
That's
out?
exactly. Yeah, you're just like,
Throw it over your head.
and you throw it over your shoulder.
Yeah, any
So
root
much
vegetable.
fun.
Radishes, too.
Ghost.
I love to grow radishes. For the same reason.
But like turnips and beets get real big. It's so much fun. You can do it at Lareland Farms. Lareland Farms, located north of the city.
I've been there before. Yeah, yeah.
They let you
I have-
pick your
yeah,
own.
I've picked-
But can you
Turnips,
shrink
yeah.
down and go into a vase?
If you're good.
If
Oh,
you're-
yeah.
And then this little mask thing like follows you.
Oh yeah, yeah,
The floating mask in the vase.
yeah.
Weird
very
game.
Oh
spooky.
yeah, that thing.
Very spooky game.
Also, maybe first ever trans character in a video game. The
Oh yeah.
Birdo. I think people have on the internet have staked that out and said it's official.
Okay.
Because Birdo, I think is the name, right?
Yeah.
The one
yeah.
that shoots the,
pink.
eggs.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
It's got a bow on its head. but,
Trumpet-looking
it's-
Is Toadstool in the first Mario? And is Toadstool?
What, Princess
The trans
Toadstool
character.
or
No.
Toad the?
Toad?
Oh, what's Toad is the one with the mushroom head.
Yeah.
Toad.
Mushroom hat. Toad. Okay, that's just Toad.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then there's
Is
a whole
Toad in
weird
is
thing.
Toad in Mario 1?
Yeah. Well,
Okay,
not
oh,
by
do they-
not. He's not a
they-
named character.
Okay, that
Mario
thing shows
1?
up at the end of the castle.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, he's just there when you
Yeah.
get to the throne room.
Okay. Is that a he? I mean, are we?
Toad is a he. Yeah.
Toad's a he.
Because
Okay.
the's also
I didn't know
Toadette
that.
now.
Yeah, Toadette.
They
is
made
it.
a Toadette.
Oh, okay. All right.
I assume
What
baby
about-
Toad and baby Toadette?
Oh yeah, yeah. Pretty sure.
What's the music from
Blah,
that
blah,
from
blah.
like when you're in the castle?
okay,
yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
It's good. It's spooky.
It's tense.
I couldn't remember.
Yeah, it is tense. Those were hard.
No, I mean when you. Oh no. I mean
That's like the evil castle.
No. I mean when you're like when you get to the princess.
Oh.
Maybe I'm just thinking.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm thinking of. No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of Mario 3.
I might be too.
No, that is.
Are you thinking
They're
of the
close.
minute?
That-
No,
No,
I'm
that's
thinking about when you like beat a level and you're like in the little like your neck like princess is on the throne and you're like in the little room.
Oh, there's
Oh,
like
that is Mario.
I think it is number 3.
like when you beat the ship in Mario 3, right? And so something
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah. When you're falling with the wand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool music.
Yeah, it's good.
All the music in Mario is wonderful. That's like one of the best things about it.
I
My
really
bird loves
love the underwater one though.
Yeah.
The like.
That's what's very fun about Mario Kart is that you get like all these like really exciting,
Oh yeah.
like full orchestra like recordings of a lot of like classic music, and then there's probably some new stuff too.
Good stuff.
Good stuff.
The Super Nintendo one had great music.
I never had Super Nintendo. I went straight from NES to 64.
Wow.
Super Nintendo's pretty much.
I had a
My
s-
neighbor had
Nintendo
one.
playing days
I had a
ended.
Sega and then a PlayStation. I was one of those kids.
Yeah, yeah.
I got my first video game system only a couple of years ago.
Which
Ooh,
one
what
is
was
it?
it?
It's a PS4.
Oh, I came this close to getting a PS5 just to play Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah.
Dude, me too.
Oh my god,
it looks really fun.
I'm like, oh my god, I want to play, but I just don't. I want to like weather the storm and not get into it, but I really want to get into it.
I just want the PlayStation 5 to not cost $500.
No, I know.
That's the main thing.
Yeah.
If it costs $300, I would already have one.
Yeah, it's the extra. Yeah.
I did just so I have a Switch and I did just download The Witcher 3,
Oh, cool.
Oh,
So-
hey!
which is fun.
Yeah.
Having a good time, although I'm getting punished.
Yeah.
'Cause
It's
it's
a
hard.
hard- it's a hard-
I think I need to like level up more than where I'm at right now.
Yeah, my brother tried to get me into Dark Souls, and he's like, "Yeah, the point is, it's really hard." And I'm like, nah,
Yeah,
that's
the
not
Dark
really-
Souls games,
that's
I
not what I'm
tried.
looking for when I get into a game.
Yeah, I
It's-
tried the Dark Souls games, and I was like, I don't know if I want to just die over
Right,
and over and over.
right. That
again.
doesn't. That's not.
Yeah, like
rewarding.
that's frustrating.
I like Elden Ring when I'm in the mood for it, but
Elden Ring looks awesome.
it's so beautiful.
Yeah, like it looks like a cool game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
It's
don't
like a fancy Skyrim.
it's like a newer
It's-
Dark Souls
yeah.
kind of game.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
It's Dark Souls, but it was written by George R.R. Martin.
Oh, that's.
And it's
fine,
open
see.
world, right?
Yeah.
Dark Souls isn't really open world.
Right.
Oh, really?
No.
It's more linear.
It's like hub. So
Right.
you got some idea, like you can make some choices about where to go in, but it's not.
You're
really-
kind of getting funneled into a
Yeah.
lot of encounters.
There's
That's
definitely
fair.
places that are way harder than if you go too early.
Yeah. Yeah, Elden Ring's Zelda style, where you could just find the worst guy right away, and then you'll never play. Or except that you just immediately respawn. But yeah,
Right.
I don't know, video games.
Yeah, I don't. I missed whole PlayStation. I missed that. Xbox, is that a thing still? I don't know.
Yeah.
It is,
God,
yeah.
it's-
I
The
think
only
I don't
the
know.
only
I don't know
game
anything
I'll
about
ever
it.
miss is Tetris Sphere.
That's cool.
The only game I ever truly cared about. But I actually have the Nintendo 64. I have like the cartridge of that game with like my old games saved on it. If I ever like come in contact with one again, so I can like continue where I left off.
Wow.
It's somewhere in my attic.
Is there a story to it?
Nope.
Oh.
It's a puzzle game.
This
You
It's
said
the
it's
only
a fun game?
Puzzle game.
Tetris,
Oh.
the movie.
Which is the only kind of game I really like.
Puzzle games are the best.
I don't like those narrative games.
See, I'm impatient with things that aren't telling me a story.
I mean, there is a vague thing
Yeah,
where there's
I'm a
like
little
something
bit like
trapped
that,
in there
too.
you're trying to free.
I like it when it's a story game that has a bunch of puzzles in it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
But like, this is why I can never really get into chess.
Right. Yeah.
There's no story.
It's
You
not
just
enough of
gotta
a
write
story.
Yeah.
But I have to work too hard to write a story for chess. It's much easier to write a story for Risk, the game of world domination.
Yes, the movie written by
My game of Risk.
One of my favorite paragraphs in the entire series is in this, and that's where Silk.
What page is it on?
It's on 392, and
Okay.
Silk is watching Quetzal watch the
Oh yes, didn't he?
kinda soldiers.
Connor sent an email about it. Didn't you send an
I think it
email
was
about
me.
it? Oh,
this
it was
paragraph.
you?
Yeah. But I love this, and I think this is like Wolf at his best because it's misdirection once. It's misdirection two ways, because Silk is looking at Quetzal, an old man, and he's looking longingly at these young women.
Mhm.
And Silk is thinking to himself, oh, he really wants to convert them. Like he's longing so
That's the
so
thing he wants.
passionately to convert them. So that's what Silk's interpretation is. Now, most people's interpretation who had any clue would be like, this old man is just kind of like checking out these young ladies, right? He's like leering at
He
them.
wants to do it.
But
His
neither is
thirst.
true.
Yeah,
Neither.
that kind of
It's
thirst.
another right. But he's actually
He's vamping up.
wants to drink them. Is the reality. So
Also, I
Extra
guess when
cuts.
you're a vampire and you see a bunch of people that are all kind of dressed the same and marching the same, it's like no one's gonna miss one or two of those.
Yeah.
I
You
could
get-
get one of them now.
It's
for
like
Right.
when
free.
we're looking at a flock of sheep.
So the shortness of this chapter and the fact that there's a lot of the silk stuff is funny kind of makes me think that maybe one of the big points of this chapter is the little things with Quetzal. Like I started to wonder, is there another layer underneath this of like the conversion, the sex, the vampire hunger? Is there another thing under that?
Well, what's with the sword? What's with the sword? Like, why does Quetzal have a big sword? Has he had that previously?
You
Like,
think it's Baculus?
yeah, but it's described as a sword
No,
here.
that's
It's
Usyk
a-
has
Usyk has a big sword.
Oh, it's Usyk.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Duh.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if they've mentioned them having swords in the Viren army, have they?
No, maybe it's ceremonial.
No.
Well, but everybody's got a sword. Like, sword's a weapon of choice often, right? Like,
Okay.
Auk has a hanger and stuff.
Well, and maybe not a
Uh,
sword, but a
yes.
knife. Yeah,
Yeah.
various types of knives.
Well, but a
Knives.
hanger is a sword.
I thought it was
Yeah.
like a machete.
Yeah, I thought it was like a shorter.
A machete, I've been... In the martial arts that I've been learning, machetes counts as swords.
Okay. All right.
Well,
Machetes counts as
Wait, what
swords.
martial arts have you been learning?
Eskrima,
Oh.
just off of YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Where's it from?
The Philippines. Eskrima or Kali is you use sticks to train on how to do Spanish sword fighting with machetes.
Nice.
Cool.
Don't they also have the really floppy swords? Is that?
Oh, I don't know about that.
Oh,
floppy sword.
no. Maybe it's an Indian thing. It's a Southeast
Oh,
Asian.
yeah.
There's a Southeast Asian martial art that uses these really like whippy
Yeah.
swords. Like they have very thin blades and they just like sling them around. They
Oh,
seem
yeah.
incredibly dangerous.
Well, Kali's all about improvised weaponry because we're trying to overthrow the Spanish. So we're going to learn how to use their coolest weapon, the machete, but the same moves can be used for just a table leg if that's all you got, or your hands if you can't find anything.
Yeah, it's like that's why capoeira is so cool. It's like developed specifically to deal with, like the oppressor on a horse with a gun. And so if you're going to fight against someone on a horse with a gun, how would you do it? Oh, you do it by you move towards them like
being
this,
impossible to shoot at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
and you emphasize jumping and pulling them off, and that's what capoeira is.
Well, and it's funny how many martial arts that are designed to overthrow the Spanish are based around dance.
yeah,
Because both capoeira and Kali are dance-based
yeah,
fighting.
and that way you could practice it around the fire at nighttime, and they'd be like, oh, they're just dancing.
It's also more fun.
Yeah, right.
Graceful. Yeah.
And that's
Cool.
interesting because the Triviganti are kind of trying to overthrow the Spanish in this.
The Spanish being the Viennese.
Right, which feel like a Spanish... it's interesting that this Arab culture is coming to take over a Spanish culture because the Muslims took over the Iberian Peninsula for a bunch of the Middle Ages.
Right, and the super Catholic Spanish.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
in the super Catholic Viennese. I was trying to think in terms of, like, roughly right now, how to geopolitically cast the situation. I'm thinking of, like, there's something a little bit China right now about the Trivigant. Like, and I
I
feel
mean,
like
because we don't know anything about them.
well, and also because I feel like of any army that's gonna like roll into a little guy and be somewhat welcomed, I feel like it's probably China that's gonna be playing that role.
You and I have very different ideas about what China is like in real life today.
Well, I'm not saying China would never take. I feel like right now China's not gonna aggressively take land, but they might come
Sell
to
it
the
to India.
they might come to the defense of the American people at some point.
China's going to come to the defense of the American people.
Of the citizenry, yeah.
Huh.
I could see that being
The American people?
Yeah, I could see that being the angle.
Like United States Americans?
Yeah, like we're going to help you get rid of this government that's torturing you right now.
Wow, this is.
I'm not sure about that.
I think that'd be great.
know,
They're like
invite our Chinese
assimilating, you
overlords.
know? Is that what you mean? Like
Well, I
they,
feel like there's like a huge implosion in our at the executive level of our country, and
Yeah.
then like total chaos. Nobody really knows who's in charge.
Yeah.
Like rich people are kind of very short-sightedly trying to like shore up their control and their power and make sure they're not like losing anything, and that ends up making real terrible problems with starvation.
Yeah.
And then
our country is becoming very soft. I feel like
when that top decomposes and people are all kind of like around the world are looking to get a piece of the action, I feel like China would be the one to be like, look, we're disinterested. We're gonna go in and just get things like stable so people aren't dying in the roads, and then the international community can discuss what's gonna be done with this place.
Yeah.
That's my vision of how we get the airship coming to us.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean,
That
I'm
doesn't
trying to
seem like China to me.
I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think through it, what you're saying. I'm trying to think through it, and I feel like it does discount like the role of all of Europe in this way. Like I don't, because it's like I see China developing its own like block that's kind of counter to the Western whatever block. And I guess I just like, it's hard for me to, I feel like all of Europe would also have to be crumbled. Like, it's just hard for me to envision.
My scenario is ridiculous, but it's also just the fundamental thing of it is America becomes up for grabs, where it's not clear who is going to.
I watched a recent thing about the geography of America that has made me firmly believe America is never up for grabs.
Yeah, I tend to agree. I mean, I think the reason, it's for the same reason that we are in the position that we're in now and have been historically to begin with, is like geography has a huge part to play in that.
Like, just the way our coast is built, like how much coast we have, the way the sea is just offshore makes it very hard to get your people in here. Right. And we have so many resources, so we don't even need them to come here. Like it's check out America's geography; it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, if there's no clear head of the government here, and a business faction, is inviting China and saying, "Come, like, we need help. You've got a lot of investments in here. We've got a lot of investments over there."
You think our business faction is inviting China over here right now?
I think a part of it,
you think there's potential for it?
I think there's a potential for part of it to like. I mean,
I do think that it is not in China's best interest for the United States to completely collapse. I do think they would like to see us be politically weakened, but it is not in their interest to see us completely collapse, because we are like clients of one another in this certain kind of way. But I don't. The direct intervention thing seems very far-fetched to me. Or
they'll grab up Taiwan for sure.
I think like the state of the world needs to change dramatically from what it is now for me to like be able to even entertain what you're saying. I mean, I'm trying to like take it seriously as a concept, and I just like can't see how that happens. Like I can't envision a path to that.
And they have so many other things on their plate right now. They have a huge operation to take over the world.
Yeah, but what's the
like,
path in the far offness? What's the path from
well.
here to there? There still has to be a path to there.
But
I will concede that like
there's
no way to really know
on,
what will
for
happen.
Some reason,
so like in that sense, like literally anything could happen.
Right. Yeah.
But
no one's allowed to use
aside from anything could happen,
like
you have to like have some kind of like vision of how that would happen.
Yeah.
And I just can't.
That's brutal. Why?
Wait, sorry. What did you say?
China's border dispute with India, where they're not allowed to use guns, so they're fighting with like pikes. And been going on for a while.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. But that's standing in the way of their Belt and Road initiative to build a road around the whole world. And I think they got to take care of that before they try to fuck too much with us.
Makes sense.
Right.
I also think it's in their
Where we
best.
fight with China
I
is
also
always
think it's in
Taiwan.
their best interest politically for their like self-conceptual, like
This-
conceptualization for them to stay like separate from us.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think that that's like part of their mythology of themselves is like that they're not like in the same way that we're like ooh China, even though like we're so interconnected that one couldn't exist without the other.
Yeah.
We both have to do this thing where we pretend. So like maybe in some kind of like soft power backdoor way, I could see something like that. You know what I mean? In the same way that like they literally like control our economy already.
Yeah.
Like you know, like we
Yeah.
couldn't exist without them already. But in an overt way, I just think that like the whole scheme of the world. Like I was just saying to Tim, like. I'll concede that like we're in a broken reality where like literally anything could happen, but outside of saying that like anything could happen, like you still have to have some kind of like concept of how that reality like attaches into a timeline that we're on. But
Now,
I
I will
can't come up with that.
I will say, speaking directly to your this is how we get an airship over our country, I get China did do that.
Right,
balloon.
yeah, they did literally
The
do
They
that.
sent all
balloon.
those balloons.
Yeah.
So
What do you mean all
I mean,
those?
I thought there was one.
there was multiple. There was at least 3.
And they were doing weather data, right?
Sure. Yeah, weather.
Interesting. You're on Genocide Joe's side. On
but
this one.
what are they mummy colored?
Right.
I didn't get to see them. I think they were white. Can I make an argument for Tom Clancy?
Yeah.
That's good.
Right? Because isn't this?
Local boy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, isn't he? Or am I thinking of Stephen Hunter? I
I
don't
don't
know
think
any- I
of
don't
Tom
know
Clancy as a
anything
person that was
about
born.
Tom.
Or Dean Koontz.
Tom Clancy was big at the time, right?
I'm pretty
like,
sure
Hunt for Red
Clancy's
October.
I think Tom Clancy's big now.
Tom Clancy lives in Maryland.
Boys
I used to
love
work
Tom
with a guy
Clancy when
who
they
would
get to
do
be,
tech
like,
support
40.
for him.
But this just feels so much like a, oh, here's the president having to watch this parade, and he's like, my mind is not on this. I'm thinking, gosh, I'd like to sit down. It just feels like the president in a Tom Clancy book who's not interested in the trappings of presidency. I'm just a simple man, and I want to shoot these people on my plane. Kind of thing. It really feels that way to me, this chapter. I love it. The kind of humor that's sneaking in, although it's definitely Gene Wolfe's nerdy ass humor, I feel like it's the jokes in the level of importance of information. The jokes are in this detail-y section. I think Tom Clancy put them in where it's not like I'm writing this for the joke, but the jokes are kind of peppered in here to let you know I'm funny.
I'm curious what Gene's take on Tom Clancy would be, because
I
it
would
both
be too.
it seems like both a thing that he would, I mean, like as a like writerly writer and prose stylist and everything. I think that Gene Wolfe looking at a Tom Clancy novel would be like, what the fuck is this shit? But
Right.
then also the nerdy old man part of
Right.
Gene.
Right.
Let's see, it like could only find that appealing.
Right.
Right?
Right.
It just has to be.
Yeah.
You could appreciate it on a
Right.
certain level.
Yeah, I feel like there's definitely something in Gene where you'd be like,
Have you
I
read
kinda
Tom
like this.
Clancy at all?
I've read a some amount of it, like in middle school or something. I really couldn't tell you much about it at this
I
point.
never got too into it. Harrison Ford was in the movies, right? He's the same
Yeah.
character, right? There's
It's-
Ryan,
Yeah,
right?
Jack Ryan.
okay, those
is
are Tom
the,
Clancy books. Clear and Present Danger.
Yeah.
Wait, isn't Jim from The Office a Jack
Yes.
Ryan
Yeah.
too?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Weird.
Oh, that's still-
That doesn't
oh,
make
okay.
any fucking sense to me.
That's
That guy.
does not have resting action movie face. He has resting big galoot face.
But people have loved him for it. People have been really into him in action in that specifically.
He's also been like very pro, CIA. Like he's drunk the Kool-Aid on that stuff. They are pumping money into Jim Halpert.
from the beginning. you
Maybe.
know, like,
Yeah, maybe.
Even
Who
in
knows?
The Office, they were behind the scenes. They were prepping him. He's a
It
propaganda
kind of
mouthpiece.
makes sense. The characters bleed together in my head because Jim's such
Yeah.
a bad guy on The American Office that, like, of course he would leave that show to be a CIA
It's
agent.
interesting that he's like the hunky one because he's like so like which I think feeds into the point of The Office, but he's like such a like lame regular guy. He's mean too.
Right.
Like
Just
I-
like
he's-
lame regular guys
and he's
are.
not. Yeah, exactly. And he's not like particularly handsome.
I
or
have this
anything, but-
weird theory that the
it's like the
Office
hero of the
writer
show.
room had like a bunch of people that weren't normal but were writing for network TV, so they were trying to guess what normal people's
Yeah.
lives were like. And then it had a couple of people who were maybe like one or two who were kind of on the track you're on. Where like we're gonna make him normal, but we're gonna have a slight subliminal critique of what normal guys are
Mhm.
like in the mix.
Mm-hmm.
But that overall, everyone just had to kind of play nice because it's like NBC or whatever.
Right.
Like, yeah, we're having a wedding. We're having him his dream
Right.
sports job. You
Right.
guys like that, right?
Right. Right.
Like I could see like Mindy Kaling like projecting in her mind like what is a really boring person like, and I'm gonna write that.
No, for real. Yeah.
But it works.
his ideal job. His ideal job.
Like, you
It
know,
works
I'm-
well. I
sports
can't watch that.
advertising.
I'm not like The Office is fine. I'm just saying, like, I work with very normal people,
Right.
Love it.
and they love The Office. In 2023,
Oh yeah,
they
it's still very big.
fucking
American
love
Office.
the American Office.
Wow.
And like,
And Friends.
I've watched The Office. I've enjoyed The Office. What like it is like the most innocuous thing that you could be into, but it is insane that it is a show that ended like 10 years ago that the most normal people you know are still obsessed with and watch all the way through like over and over again.
Yeah, that is weird. I never really liked it at all. Like I get it, sort of. Like I'm not like fuck that, but I just
Have you worked in an office?
no.
Well,
There you go.
yeah, that probably
Although I don't like it
there's
because
something
I
to
worked
that,
in an office.
right?
But
But I mean, I don't know. I feel like I still can think a situational thing that I haven't been in is funny. Like I
Right.
just don't think it's that.
Right.
oh yeah, no, I'm
But you-
yes.
but-
Some people want to project themselves
Yeah.
into
Yeah,
the
people are like,
story.
Yeah.
I've been here. I understand
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
This
I'm
is-
like
Well,
I
yeah,
know.
and it's like
I know a Dwight.
it's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the
I'm
only
the
thing that
Stanley.
gives meaning to your like meaningless.
I've been in that prison before.
Yeah.
Right. I do. All my favorite characters are the really like fringe freaks who are like on the show maybe once every 4 episodes or something.
There's a really
That's-
stark
what
contrast,
it's all
I feel like,
about.
between what I would consider the Muppet part of The Office, which is all those people you were
Creed.
talking, and then the like weird forced attempts for like sentiment and kind of like the schmaltzy relationship stuff, and they seem like two different shows. And the
Yeah.
Muppet Show allows the like stupid like cliche kind of love story stuff to exist at all.
Yeah, it took a really long time for them to totally lean into a lot of the lame love story
Your
stuff
baby
too,
stuff.
and that's really where it fell off. Like Jim and
Yeah.
Pam get married, it's like this isn't a good show anymore.
Yeah, the Jim and
This-
Pam scenes become the like Frodo scenes of the Lord of the Rings movies, where you're like, I am just waiting. I'm just
Right.
gonna blink at the screen until I see one of the people that are fun again.
Yeah, give me Stanley.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, give me Creed. Whatever.
I like Frodo.
Frodo defender over here.
You know what it means when there's a Frodo part in a movie or show.
I do. That's why I had to say I like Frodo because I know exactly what that means.
Yeah.
With the main character that is kind of a drag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like
Well,
I
you know
can-
what though? I have to say in defense of what Ryan or what Connor is saying. I don't know why for some reason Connor and Ryan are the same name in my brain. No matter how long I know you guys,
because
and
you're
how,
racist against Irish.
it's
people.
probably
Yeah.
no. Except that I wish I was Irish. I'm like anti-racist against Irish people.
So yeah, I feel that way about the Jews.
But anyway, whatever. For some reason, your two names I just like cannot. I always call you Connor and I always call you Ryan. Anyway, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Maybe this will help.
We've been watching Seinfeld.
Right.
And I've been thinking a lot about why, like, because I used to really love Curb, and now when I think about it, I'm like, I don't think I can watch that. And I've been trying to think about why. And I think the difference is Jerry being like a non-thing, like a hollow shell, like
yeah.
a fucking boring ass, bland, vacant thing.
Right.
And like not really that funny also, and like has no personality, and it kind of waters down the Larryness in this way, and it makes the Larryness a little more banal, where it's like a little, which I think is like good and makes it fall funnier.
Yeah.
But I
Well,
think
you gotta
like
have a straight man. Like,
But it's not
comedy
even-
You don't have to.
Well, but comedy really does benefit from having.
no, you don't. You certainly don't have to. But I
yeah,
think
it
there
benefits
is
from
like a purpose to it. But I think that's
it's there's that theory that your main character needs to be completely blank so the reader can project themselves onto it, and then it's surrounded by colorful characters. But there is an argument of if you can have all your characters be characters and do that well, then certainly isn't it better? And I think that you've illustrated it perfectly there between Seinfeld
I mean,
and Kirk.
and I'd say Wolf's main characters. I mean, maybe more complex, but they do tend to kind of be the empty straight men in these books.
But isn't it kind of that they're like at the outside they're empty straight men, but there's all sorts of secret clues of depths that
for sure.
that you, once you unlock it, you're like, oh no, there's some.
Yeah.
This
Right.
guy's not like me at all. He's a
Right.
mythical beast. Oh my. Yeah.
Yeah, but on the surface, they're kind of passive, kind of.
Wolf is playing 3-dimensional chess.
Right. Yeah. I'm not.
3-dimensional.
Yeah.
So he's playing chess.
Well, because you can move it up.
Yeah, chess is
I thought
really
your
a
shirt said
two-dimensional
COVID.
Oh, I guess that's it.
I thought you were just wearing the shirt as a COVID.
Yeah, that's why I
COVID.
only wear the shirt certain places now, because
Yeah.
of
Right. Like,
places where people might know that it's about a Greek poet.
not a global pandemic.
Right.
I have to do this for a second. I'm all hyped up. Oh, I didn't pay attention to your cool thing. Cool thing.
oh, thanks.
thing.
Cool thing.
So there's this one little tiny part. I'm gonna come back to Ketzel when he comes back, but
You got a computer charger with the USB-C.
Computer charger. Yes,
Cool.
I do. Kenny does.
Let's see.
Like, because you can't just use a regular USB cable. You need the thingy.
Yeah. It's gotta have
The brick, whatever.
gotta have the wattage.
you know, I had never seen Parks and Rec until this year. It's the first time I tried to watch that show.
That's one of those shows for me that it's totally a comfort viewing thing where like maybe I don't know, maybe that's My Office or something.
Oh,
But I
it's
feel
got
like
great bits. I mean, Amy Poehler.
yeah, I feel
Peter
like on the
Strachan.
whole it is more it definitely can get maudlin, but I think the jokes are better in general.
The I feel like the acting makes it watchable, kind of no matter how sketchy the writing gets at times.
Mhm.
Like if you've got Nick Offerman,
Yeah.
Aubrey Plaza, Chris Pratt, or Aziz on screen,
Yeah.
kind of doesn't really matter what the writing is most of the time.
Yeah, for sure.
They're compelling to watch.
Yeah. It's a good show.
Yeah.
It's almost like I guess the way I would think about Park Rec is like there's like 4 Dwights. It's like an office where they're like, we need more Dwights holding
Totally.
this structure.
Well,
up.
the first season of Parks and Rec, which is short and is weird because
Yeah.
it's like they are just trying to do The Office with it, and then they realize like, no, our central figure needs to be a freak. And that's like once they realize that Leslie Knope is like an actual crazy person who people feel compelled to help regardless, because she is fundamentally a good person too.
Well, both The Office and Parks and Rec figured out in their early seasons that you couldn't do the British humor. You couldn't have an unlikable character driving an American TV story.
Right.
So they had to, like, but I feel like in the first season of Parks and Rec, Amy Poehler is more of a satirical boss in the same sense. In the first season, Michael Scott of The Office was like more he remained pretty satirical throughout, but it was like a hard, more like British style satire in his first.
Yeah, definitely.
season.
He's not. There's an abrasiveness to the British character that like
you
can't really
couldn't.
do
I don't
in
think you
America.
could pull that off on American TV.
But I think like Leslie Knope is unhinged in a really particular way that works.
Yeah, she's unhinged, but she's also like a positive, leader. She's,
Yeah.
you know,
She is like, she's everybody's favorite liberal, I guess.
right. Yeah, the can-do attitude.
Yeah.
Have you heard Stephen Fry's analysis of the difference between American and British comedy?
No.
Stephen Fry says that an England comedy is about a person who just wants to do it right, and because of who they are, they're constantly fucking up. And American humor is about a person who doesn't give a shit about doing it right, but because of who they are, things work out for them.
That's like The Simpsons.
Right.
Yeah.
Americans are positive,
Yeah.
and British people are negative.
Yeah.
Because they lost World War II.
I mean, I love British humor.
Because they've been around long enough to lose many wars.
Yeah.
Well,
There's
they were once great. I think that's a big part of it.
We are still in
One time
denial
the
that
country
we've
covered
lost
the
it.
entire globe.
Yeah, the true loss of empire is very, very humbling culturally, I guess.
So when he says we're going to send out foraging parties, that's or when she says that, that's fucking weird.
Yeah.
Because that definitely doesn't mean what Silk thinks it means.
Well, then I noticed that part too because
Like he's saying they don't have a lot of food.
Right.
Yeah,
she's
but-
like, we'll send out foraging parties, but
foraging
they're going
out
to send
into-
those foraging parties into Vyron.
Yeah.
Right.
right.
Those people are
That's
going to
because
steal food from the
yeah. Wait,
Commandeered.
I noticed that too because where is that?
He's like, that's very kind of
Wait,
you.
where-
And,
what page
and
is that?
Usyk is just like,
Yeah. Because Usyk is like,
Yeah, Usyk's like, whoa.
I
It's just too
underlined
big of a problem
that.
to even like get at.
Usyk is like
feel like
what's his name?
Usyk's
The
just like-
Blinken.
Blinken. Yeah. Anthony Blinken. You see those
The
pictures?
Secretary of State. Have you seen those clips where Biden, like, there's one where Biden, like, calls Xi Jinping a dictator, and it pans to Blinken, and Blinken's just like, he goes like that. He goes like that.
all right.
And it's
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah, that
it's
is-
so fucking good.
that's
There's that
Usyk
one
here.
super creepy picture. I think it's on Air Force One where like Biden's talking and he kind of like looks dead or whatever, and then you see this tiny Blinken head peering from around the corner, looking at him with this insanely concerned look of like, oh, "Don't you fuck up, man! Why are you talking to him? Get away from him!"
I thought you were talking about Robin Hood Men in Tights. There's
Oh, yeah.
Abe Lincoln.
Abe Blinken.
So that's all
I
could
said
think of.
Abe Blinken.
I was like, you can't be talking about that right now.
I am talking about Abe Blinken, actually.
Oh yeah.
I read a thing that said it was really important that Blinken was not sent to. He was sent away from Israel when they negotiated the truce, the temporary truce, and then he gets to go back now that it's decided because he can't be near anything that like might actually fuck up the Middle East.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
But he just like wants to go to. He just wants
Yeah,
it.
everybody,
So
even
that-
everybody in the administration knows like if we send Blinken to organize, like to negotiate a truce, there won't be a truce. They had to send a CIA dude over to do it.
They have to send a CIA guy because you're too unhinged. Like, come on, man. Like, what the fuck is the point of any of this shit?
The point is...
Holy
Okay.
war.
I
Holy
know.
war. It is a
Point is-
holy
it's
war.
not-
And well, the point is mainly money. It's not
Yes,
even
it's
really
all
a
money.
holy
It's
war.
always money all the time.
Yeah. You just gotta the spice must flow. You gotta keep.
Well, yeah,
They
you
got
know,
natural
Europe,
gas off the coast of
yeah,
Gaza.
and fucking Russia just told Europe they can fuck off, and
Yeah.
now Europe
Yeah.
needs a new source of energy.
I do.
Coincidence?
Yeah.
I did
It's
think
like-
that American perception of what's going on in Israel is colored strangely by actual holy war, though.
A certain percentage of the population.
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
The nuttiest.
Yeah, I
Sure,
mean, I don't
nuts.
think I wouldn't
They're
say that that's like
we want that world to end. We
I don't-
need a war,
I
a
wouldn't
holy war in that place.
I don't, and I think that those people push popular opinion in other ways.
Oh,
But
It does make me. This whole thing makes me really uneasy. You can feel like the global power.
Oh, you don't say.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm not.
I've been feeling really fucked up the last day or so because of the whole like hostage. It's like, well, I mean, obviously the temporary ceasefire is like bad news. Like, it's just bad. There's nothing, like, it's not good. Like, it's just
Why
gonna
not?
be worse. Like, they did it so that you could have the holiday weekend and you'd, like, go shopping and stuff and have to, like, not think about it for a few days. But it's also just, like, just long enough for people to just be like, oh, yeah, I have a normal life again. I don't know. My life has been fucked since this whole thing's been happening. I, like, am a destroyed person. Like, I can't. Like,
mean,
I
like,
feel
processing
guilty
it.
if I do something that makes me happy.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of always though?
No. It should
A
be.
little bit.
Jews and Catholics aren't as alike as I thought.
No, I think there's something about being raised in the South as a Jew that's different from. I do not relate to like New York Jew style. Like, I'm not that. I'm not a New York Jew. Like, I'm a very different thing from that. Anyway.
I'm interested in what you're saying. I mean, it's affecting you in like a personal, emotional, like.
Yeah, I mean, besides the fact that I like have to quit my family,
Right.
I also just feel like fucked about the whole thing. Because also, when you are Jewish, the whole premise is like, we're doing this for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Which is fucked.
Also a lie. They're not doing it.
I know, obviously.
But that's a
Obviously.
frustrating conversation to have with people all the time.
I know.
Yeah.
I wrote it in one of my little postcards. I think it was maybe the one to Wes Moore. Because I was saying that he has to repeal the anti-BDS thing. Because conflating anti-Semitism with criticism of the Israeli state actually makes Jews less safe.
Yeah.
Which is why my favorite conspirologist is Jim Marrs. He states that at the beginning of any book where he's talking about the Jews. There's 3 things that you can talk about: Jews, Israelis, and Hebrew people. Jews as a religion, Israeli as a country, Hebrew as an ethnicity. We're talking about Israel here.
Yeah.
And that's it.
Right.
Yeah.
And then in that conversation, the Hamas aspect also gets brought in contemporary times. So then that's like, it's just interesting to see how everything is and is not linked in public discourse. You know,
Yeah, it's crazy that the news, like the mainstream news, keeps calling it the Israel-Hamas war.
Yeah.
Well, then why isn't it the IDF-Hamas war? That's so strange.
It's
Yeah.
Right.
because
Or the Mossad.
because Palestine is not a state,
Yeah.
so they have to pick something else.
Right, but then there's that weird asymmetry of like
It's all asymmetry all
is-
the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
right.
insane.
That's
not
all
a
it
war.
is.
Because it's not a fucking war.
It's also not
It
a
is
war.
not
Yeah.
a war
Yeah.
in any shape or form.
Right.
Not
This-
that like a war is gonna be super fair and awesome, but like this is not a fucking war.
Right.
The
No,
stat
it's
that
not.
keeps blowing my mind is in response to, they voted for Hamas. So it is,
Yeah, but
they are
yeah,
all
but, like,
Hamas, but
less than half the
over
population-
half of them are children.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Like and and why
Like less
And
than
also-
half of them were
orphan
like.
children.
And how does that occur?
But also,
Also,
genocide.
why the fuck does Hamas exist? It
That-
didn't exist like 70, 80 years ago.
There's no bigger
probably.
supporter of Hamas than Benjamin Netanyahu.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because they stand in the way of a 2-state solution. And he
Exactly.
likes that.
Exactly.
That's all on record. Like
Mhm.
he's
Oh, yeah.
easily